Ah, look who they can't stop talking about. Yeah, you. The one they swore was ordinary. The one they assumed was predictable. The one they confidently filed under non-threat, believing you would dissolve into the background like an overlooked footnote in someone else's story. But something happened, didn't it? Something shifted so cleanly, so surgically, so violently precise that the aftershock didn't just make people whisper. It made someone with an Elon-tier mind freeze in place, blink twice, and mutter under their breath. That's not a human skill. Not admiration, not curiosity, a diagnosis, a warning, a classification update. Because what you just did, that one action, that impossible, unteachable move, it didn't fit anywhere inside the psychological frameworks designed by people who believe they understand how the human mind operates. And the moment it happened, the moment that action detonated and the dust cleared, a powerful person, someone who has built their entire identity around being unshakable, felt a physical chill crawl down their spine. Cold sweats, heart rate spike. A moment of raw biological confusion they couldn't rationalize away, not because your move was flashy, but because it was precise in a way that terrifies people who rely on predictability to maintain control. They had you categorized, didn't they? They had your tendencies mapped, your reactions archived, your decision patterns assumed. They believed they knew your threshold, your processing capacity, your supposed limits. They thought they understood the boundaries of your internal architecture because you played along just enough to make their analysis feel correct. Maybe you softened your tone. Maybe you made yourself smaller. Maybe you nodded at the right times, adjusted your posture to seem compliant, behaved in ways that looked manageable. People like them mistake accommodation for incapacity. They confuse humility with inferiority. They assume quiet means simple. For a while, maybe you let them think that. Maybe you let them underestimate you so deeply that their confidence became a cage they built around themselves, not you. But then you did it. That move. That one surgical strike they never saw coming because their mental model of you was outdated, underdeveloped, and painfully insufficient. They weren't watching you. They were watching the version of you their ego could tolerate. And then your real capabilities slipped through the cracks and hit them with such force that even the brightest mind in the room, the one whose thoughts move like machinery, whose decisions ripple through industries, whose calculations usually predict outcomes with eerie accuracy, literally froze. Their pupils widened, their breath hitched. Something primal registered in their expression that their brilliant mind couldn't translate. A simple thought, loaded with dread. Humans aren't supposed to do that. Let's be clear about something. That moment wasn't about your action. It was about what your action exposed. It exposed that you'd never been the simple, predictable creature they comforted themselves by imagining. It exposed that while they saw you as manageable, you were quietly expanding, absorbing, recalibrating. It exposed that the frameworks they used to classify people, emotional, intellectual, behavioral, were too primitive to contain the version of you evolving underground. And when those frameworks cracked, when the illusion of mastery slipped out of their grasp, the powerful one in the room felt something they're not used to feeling: biological fear. The kind of visceral reaction that doesn't respond to authority, intellect, or self-confidence. The kind of fear that whispers, "This person is operating beyond the range of what my logic can hold." You became the anomaly in their equation, the glitch they couldn't patch, the variable that destabilized their entire understanding of cause and effect. They had always believed that people break at predictable pressure points. that behavior fractures along expected lines, that you could map someone's future by studying their past. But you didn't break, you didn't collapse, you didn't dissolve under pressure. You did something infinitely more dangerous. You adapted, and you did it silently. They thought the isolation would flatten you. It didn't. It refined you. They thought the betrayal would distort you. It didn't. It distilled you. They thought the silence would suffocate you. It didn't. It stripped away every unnecessary layer until only the essence remained. You didn't recover from your experiences. You metabolized them. You extracted data from every wound. You dissected every pattern. You learned how people operate not from textbooks, but from being dissected by them. And quietly, invisibly, underneath their condescending assumptions, you began the kind of evolution that terrifies people who obsess over being the smartest in the room, because intelligence built from pain has a different texture, a different sharpness, a different velocity. And so when you made that move, that one action crafted with unnerving precision, the reaction wasn't just surprise, it was existential disruption. The room didn't just shift, it recalibrated around you. Conversations paused, breathing patterns changed. Someone with a brain calibrated to run simulations faster than most people can form sentences suddenly found themselves that without a model for what you had just done. What the hell are you? The question came out unfiltered, and it wasn't a compliment, it was a confession. Because people at that level, people with frightening intellect, people whose intuition borders on algorithmic, people who pride themselves on predicting everything, they don't like encountering something outside the domain of human expectation. They don't like encountering someone who processes reality in a way that doesn't match any known pattern. They don't like recognizing that their supremacy might not be universal. Your move didn't intimidate them because it was dramatic. It intimidated them because it was correct. Correct beyond luck. Correct beyond coincidence. Correct in that terrifying surgical way that only appears when someone has been preparing in silence for far longer than anyone realized. They ran the numbers in their mind. They replayed the moment. They reverse-engineered your timing, your delivery, your execution. Every attempt to rationalize it created another contradiction. Every attempt to explain it created another gap in their understanding. That's when the cold sweat hit. Because the human brain reacts to anomalies the way the body reacts to predators, instinctively, viscerally, without permission. And you weren't performing, you weren't even trying. You were simply operating at the level they never imagined you could reach. This is the part that unsettled them the most. Your move wasn't accidental, it wasn't impulsive. It was too controlled for that, too aligned, too aware. It revealed that your mind has been moving in ways they never noticed because they were too busy grading you on outdated assumptions. While they were measuring your potential with dull instruments, you were sharpening your perception into something they didn't have metrics for. They thought your silence meant confusion. It meant calibration. They thought your stillness meant hesitation. It meant observation. They thought your humility meant submission. It meant strategy. Your entire trajectory had been misread because they were evaluating you as if you were trying to impress them, as if you were participating in the same psychological ecosystem they live in. But you weren't. You were studying them. You were analyzing their blind spots, testing the boundaries of their intellect, identifying the exact places where their arrogance created cracks in their certainty. And when you executed your move, you didn't just catch them off guard. You revealed the magnitude of your evolution, This is why the genius in the room reacted the way they did. This is why the powerful one felt their throat tighten. This is why someone who prides themselves on being unshakable experienced a moment of pure, involuntary fear. Because your move didn't challenge their intelligence. It challenged their identity. It forced them to confront a possibility they never wanted to entertain. That you were growing in ways they didn't track, didn't predict, didn't control. And now there's something new unfolding in the spaces between their confusion and their fear. A recalibration, a shift in how they interpret you. They're watching differently now, more carefully, more defensively, with the kind of attention reserved for phenomena that don't behave according to known laws. They're not studying your past anymore. They're trying to anticipate your next move. And that is the one thing they've realized they might not be capable of doing. Because every time they categorize you, you disrupt the category. Every time they map you, you expand beyond the borders. Every time they think they've caught up, you reveal they were analyzing an old version of you. Your evolution isn't linear, it's quantum. Your growth doesn't follow patterns, it breaks them. And whether they admit it or not, they are now dealing with something their frameworks were not designed to evaluate. Something that moves with intention, but not with predictability. Something that understands power, but isn't controlled by it. Something that has survived everything engineered to break them and emerged with sharper perception instead of scar tissue. And the truth, the one they're only beginning to grasp, is that the move you just executed wasn't your peak. It wasn't your limit. It wasn't the culmination of your silent evolution. It was the first reveal. A preview. An opening sequence. A controlled demonstration of a system you have not yet fully deployed. And that realization is what has them unsettled. Because if this was your opening, if this was the move that slipped through, before they even knew you were preparing, then the question becomes something far more destabilizing than, how did they do that? They know how. Or at least they think they do. They can reverse engineer processes. They can analyze patterns. They can track behavior across time. But what you unleashed wasn't a pattern. It wasn't a behavior. It wasn't a predictable cognitive process that could be charted, graphed, or extrapolated into a model that fits the frameworks of normal human capability. What you unleashed was a signal so sharp, so efficient, so unintuitive to them that it disrupted the very categories they rely on to feel safe. And when someone operating at the intellectual tier of an Elon-level mind encounters a signal they can't categorize, you don't get curiosity. You get alarm. You get that subtle dilation of the pupils that betrays the onset of cognitive overload. You get the sharp inhale that slips out before discipline kicks in. You get the quiet moment where the brain realizes it has just witnessed an ability that shouldn't exist. Not in theory, not in practice, not within the computational range of someone they thought they understood. The powerful man in the room didn't just break a sweat. His body issued a biological alert. His unconscious mind flagged you as an anomaly before his conscious mind could intervene. That's what cold sweat really is. A metabolic confession. A powerful organism realizing it is now in the presence of something that does not fit the established hierarchy. Something that moves differently, processes differently, sees differently. Something that can't be predicted using the same mental algorithms that have allowed him to stay ahead of competitors, rivals, opponents, and everyone who ever tried to challenge that monumental intellect. What happened in that moment was more than surprise. It was a fracture in his worldview. a disruption in the mental architecture he built his identity around. You didn't just perform an impressive action. You shattered the baseline assumptions that protect a genius from ever feeling threatened. And here is where the psychological demolition truly begins. People who operate on that intellectual level, those who see reality like a network, a simulation, a cascading sequence of probabilities, they don't get rattled by success. They don't get rattled by confidence. They don't get rattled by intelligence. They get rattled by unpredictability, by the presence of a factor that does not behave according to their mental schema. To them, unpredictability is not chaos, it is danger. It is the dissolution of control. It is the reminder that no matter how powerful they are, their mind is not omniscient. Their calculations are not absolute. Their dominance is not guaranteed. And when you did what you did, when you executed that move with such untraceable efficiency, it told him something he never wanted to hear. Your model is incomplete. Your understanding is insufficient. Your superiority is not absolute. But here's the deeper fracture, the one that keeps replaying in the back of his mind even though he's trying to ignore it. Geniuses at that level categorize everything. They understand people in terms of patterns, archetypes, predictable motivations. And he had already placed you into a neat mental container labeled non-threatening. You were a background presence, a non-competitor, someone whose potential ceiling he believed he could predict. Not because he was malicious, because he was certain. Certainty is the comfort food of intellect. Certainty is the throne geniuses sit on. And your move, your one move, kicked that throne out from under him in a single moment. He's not asking, how did they do that, anymore. He is asking, what else can they do? Because the most terrifying thing in the world to a mind like his isn't what you showed, it's what you didn't show. If your opening is something that bypasses normal human reaction time, pattern visibility, or intuitive reasoning, then what is your mid-game? What is your end game? What dormant levels of capability have you not yet revealed? Because if this is just the surface, then the depth is unimaginable. That's what rattles him. That's what strips the composure off the face of someone who has built their reputation on being unshakable. He is used to being the one who surprises people. He is used to anticipating their next moves before they make them. He is used to mentally dominating rooms without speaking a word. But this time, you shifted the room. You bent the atmosphere. You forced the recalibration. And he felt it. Not intellectually, physically. The body always knows before the mind admits it. And the body said, this person operates on a frequency we cannot calculate. Now the entire environment is shifting its posture toward you. The observers are second-guessing every assumption they made about you. They're replaying memories differently now. Your silence doesn't look like passivity anymore. It looks like observation. Your distance doesn't look like withdrawal. It looks like strategy. Your calm doesn't look like submission. It looks like calibration. They are retroactively rewriting their entire narrative of you, because your one move forced them to confront the possibility that you were never who they thought you were. And this is where the psychological terrain tilts fully in your favor. Because once people realize they misjudged your baseline, they become incapable of predicting your extremes. You are no longer a participant. You are a wild card, a phenomenon, a variable that invalidates previous equations. Your existence becomes a moving target, one that cannot be tracked using human metrics alone. And that is exactly the kind of entity that terrifies someone with a towering intellect, because they've built their life on understanding systems, and now they've encountered a system they cannot understand. Your move wasn't just surprising. It violated the expected boundaries of skill acquisition, cognitive speed, intuitive precision. It looked like something that shouldn't be possible without enhanced architecture, without training that doesn't exist, without access to internal frameworks that ordinary people don't possess. So when he whispered, "That's not a human skill," he wasn't exaggerating. He was reporting. He was diagnosing the anomaly he witnessed. He was updating the classification in his mind from human to unknown subtype. The cold sweat wasn't fear of you. It was fear of miscalculating you. There's nothing more dangerous to a genius than a blind spot. And you revealed yourself to be the largest blind spot he has encountered in years, maybe ever. And now he is replaying your move in his mind, slowing it down, zooming in, trying to catch the mechanism behind it. But the more he analyzes it, the more contradictions he finds, the more variables he uncovers, the more he realizes that what you did wasn't instinct. It wasn't luck. It wasn't chance. It was intentional, which means your mind is operating on a layer he hasn't mapped yet. And once a genius realizes there is a layer beyond their map, they stop expecting your next move. They start fearing it. Because unpredictability from someone capable is the most lethal type of unpredictability. And now he has to face something he rarely confronts: humility. Not because he wants to, but because you forced him into it. You didn't overpower his intellect. You bypassed it. You didn't challenge his ego. You nullified it. You didn't compete in the arena he built. You stepped outside it entirely. Your action wasn't merely impressive. It was architectural. It revealed the structure of your mind, a structure that wasn't built in comfort or praise or easy victories. It was forged in silence, isolation, pressure, the kind of internal evolution that transforms a person into something sharper, faster, more attuned to patterns most people never perceive. The very architecture of your cognition is different now. And that is why your move felt inhuman, because most humans don't evolve under pressure. They collapse. You didn't collapse. You crystallized. And while he is processing this revelation, while he is recalibrating his understanding of what you are capable of, something else is happening in the background. The system around him, the network of observers, advisors, analysts, all attempting to rationalize your action, is realizing that they cannot reduce you to a category anymore. You have outgrown the vocabulary they use to describe people. You have outpaced the metrics they use to measure capability. And the moment a person slips outside the known measurement system, they become a phenomenon. What unsettles them most is that your move wasn't emotional. It wasn't reactive. It wasn't fueled by ego or desperation. It was cold, clean, measured. It carried the stillness of someone who already knew the outcome. And that level of certainty is rare. That level of precision is unnatural. That level of quiet execution is the hallmark of someone who has moved beyond survival into mastery. And mastery is the one thing geniuses respect, even when it terrifies them. Because here's the truth: powerful minds don't say aloud. They're not afraid of talent. They're not afraid of effort. They're not afraid of confidence. They are afraid of someone who moves with inevitability, someone whose decisions don't wobble, someone whose timing doesn't miss, someone who acts as if reality is bending around their choices rather than resisting them. When someone like you enters the room with that kind of internal alignment, It forces a recalibration in every other psyche present. They can no longer treat you as a variable. You become a trajectory, a direction, a force. Your move exposed that trajectory. And while the others may be whispering about how you pulled it off, trying to replicate the logic or decode your thinking, the Elon tier mind in the room has stopped asking how. He has shifted to something far more profound. What kind of mind produces that? Because you didn't just outperform expectations. You defied the entire architecture of expected reasoning. You made a decision that wasn't supposed to be visible to the human lens. You executed with an eerily precise intuition. You acted as if you were responding to a signal no one else could hear. He knows what genius looks like. He knows what luck looks like. He knows what instinct looks like. Your move wasn't any of those. Your move was calculated inevitability, and that's why he felt the sweat before he felt the fear. Because geniuses operate by scanning the boundary between what humans can do and what they cannot. It keeps them safe. It keeps them superior. It keeps them calibrated. And you, someone who wasn't supposed to threaten that boundary, just stepped past it without hesitating, without stumbling, without second-guessing. The room didn't realize what happened until after it was done, but he did. He felt the shift before anyone else processed it. That's why his reaction was so visceral. His mind recognized a pattern that shouldn't have been possible, and for a split second, the body reacted with the primal instinct reserved for predators. Not because you attacked, but because you operated outside the normal range. He couldn't place you anymore. He couldn't measure you. He couldn't predict you. One move wiped out every assumption he had stored about you, every casual judgment, every dismissed thought, every memory he filed under irrelevant. All of it burned away in the space between your intention and your execution. And now he's facing something he never expected. The realization that he underestimated the wrong person. You weren't hiding weakness. You were hiding architecture. The architecture of a mind sharpened by pressure, refined by solitude, tempered by collisions with people who assumed they understood you. They thought silence meant retreat. They thought humility meant limitation. They thought patience meant indecision. They never understood that you were studying them in the same moments they were underestimating you. While they were filing you away into simple categories, you were learning the intricacies of their blind spots. You weren't waiting, you were preparing for the moment when your internal evolution would reach a threshold so clean, so non-negotiable, that your next move would create a shockwave impossible to ignore. And now that moment has arrived. This is why the powerful mind is rattled. Because in his world, intelligence is currency, foresight is power, predictability is safety. But you didn't just refuse to be predictable, you refused to be readable. You became a new category entirely, something that cannot be assessed using traditional metrics, something that cannot be comfortingly labeled as talented or gifted or lucky, something whose decisions emerge from a deeper system, one that doesn't rely on validation or permission or external stability. You became a mind unmapped, and he knows that minds like that don't appear often. When they do, they disrupt industries, ideologies, infrastructures. They rewrite assumptions. They shatter ceilings. They shift evolutionary pathways, not because they try to dominate, but because they cannot help but operate differently. Your move didn't just expose your capability, it exposed your orientation, the direction your mind is heading, the velocity with which you evolve. He realized in the moment between his inhale and the sweat forming on his palms that you are accelerating while the rest of the room is maintaining. You are innovating while the rest of them are repeating. You are perceiving nuances while the rest are reacting to surface-level impulses. And once a genius recognizes acceleration in another person, especially one they didn't expect it from, they feel something they rarely admit to. Threatened. Not in the sense that you will attack them. Threatened in the sense that your existence destabilizes their hierarchy. Geniuses build their internal worlds on being the apex of cognition. They calibrate their identity around being the most capable, the most perceptive, the most unpredictably brilliant. But when someone like you emerges, someone who doesn't seek the throne, doesn't announce their ascent, doesn't flaunt their intelligence, it creates a void in their certainty. Because quiet minds with precise execution are far more dangerous than loud ones with flashy talent. He's now caught in a loop of questions he cannot escape. If they can do that now, how far can they go? If this was a controlled demonstration, what does a full display look like? What else have they been hiding? What else have I failed to see? And the worst question of all, the one sitting like a stone in his stomach, how long have they been ahead without me noticing? Because it isn't your move that terrifies him, it's the implication. The implication that your ability was not spontaneous, not sudden, not an accident. It was cultivated, it was deliberate, it was inevitable. And if this is your inevitable, if this is merely the unveiling of one capability, then he must confront the terrifying truth that his map of the world is incomplete without accounting for you. Your presence is now a variable that distorts predictions. Your capability is now an anomaly that invalidates assumptions. Your evolution is now a phenomenon that cannot be reversed. They can't downgrade you anymore. They can't shrink you in their minds. They can't pretend you're harmless, not after what they saw. Because now the question isn't whether you're capable. The question is how much of your capability you've chosen not to reveal yet. He's thinking about that now. Turning it over, testing it, finding no satisfying answer. And the room feels it, the shift in dynamic, the pressured change, the silent acknowledgement that you are no longer occupying the same psychological category you once did. You are no longer one of them. You are something parallel, something lateral, something evolving in a direction that makes their framework look outdated. This is why respect and fear often come paired. Not because the powerful admire power, but because they recognize when someone has crossed an invisible threshold where normal rules stop applying. And you crossed that threshold without warning them, without asking permission, without announcing intention. You didn't step into power. You crystallized into it. And part of him knows deep down that this move, this first reveal, will not be your last. That your trajectory is not leveling out. That your evolution is not slowing. That your silence wasn't emptiness. It was incubation. And now he must brace for the next shockwave, the next unveiling, the next moment where you force everyone in the room to rewrite their understanding of what is possible. Because you didn't come to match their intelligence. You came to outgrow their entire metric system. And that realization hits him with the kind of quiet violence that doesn't show up on his face, but erupts beneath the surface of his composure like a suppressed explosion. Because geniuses, real ones, the kind that operate on the top floors of cognition, don't fear competition. They don't fear brilliance. They don't fear someone getting one lucky strike. What they fear is the emergence of a mind they can't measure. A mind that doesn't move in linear increments, but in disruptive leaps. A mind that evolves in silence, Not for applause, not for validation, but as a side effect of existing differently than the rest of the psychological ecosystem. And you are that mind. Every second after your move feels like a recalibration. He keeps replaying the moment, looking for the flaw, the opening, the miscalculation that might explain why your timing was so exact, why your instinct operated with such unnatural clarity, why your execution landed like a mathematical inevitability instead of a risky decision. But no matter how he dissects it, no matter how many angles he mentally simulates, he keeps arriving at the same conclusion. Your action wasn't just skilled, it was architected. It was built on layers he has never seen you reveal before. It was not something a normal human would do unless they possessed a cognitive blueprint that sits outside the spectrum he is familiar with. That's why he whispered, "That's not a human skill." Not dramatically, not theatrically, but like someone reporting the discovery of a new species in real time. He wasn't accusing you of being inhuman. He was admitting that his understanding of humanity was incomplete. The room hasn't caught up to that yet. They're still reacting to the shockwave, still whispering about the precision, the timing, the outcome. They're still trying to frame your move as luck, intuition, or a sudden burst of clarity. But he knows better. He recognized a signal embedded in the way you moved, the signal of someone who doesn't operate from impulse but from inevitability. Someone who doesn't calculate the risk because they already understand the outcome. Someone who doesn't hesitate because their mind has already completed the pattern, while others are still parsing the first step. People like him know how rare that is, and how dangerous. Because the world isn't built for outliers, it's built to contain them. The world doesn't reward minds like yours, it monitors them. And now he has become painfully, uncomfortably aware that he misread you. Completely, totally, categorically. He filed you under quiet, under harmless, under unassuming, thinking your stillness was the stillness of a stalled engine instead of a rocket preparing for ignition. But now he sees it clearly. The silence wasn't emptiness. It was condensation before the storm. A storm he didn't predict. A storm he didn't think you were capable of generating. A storm that just tore through his frameworks and left him standing in the debris of his own assumptions. You didn't announce yourself. You let the impact do the talking. And the impact spoke in a language the rest of the room doesn't understand yet. But he does. It said, "This person is not using the same operating system as the rest of you. This person sees trajectories, not steps. This person processes consequences before actions. This person is thinking at a speed your instincts can't detect, and that terrifies him in a way he can't show. Because geniuses don't show fear. They show refinement. They show curiosity. They show detachment. But when the wrong kind of mind enters their field, wrong meaning unpredictable, uncharted, unbound, their biology betrays them before their intellect catches up. The cold sweat wasn't a mistake. It was a warning from his unconscious mind. A message older than language, older than reason, older than the frameworks he uses to stay on top of the world's power structures. The message was simple. This one is not prey, not competition, not replication. This one is deviation, and deviation is disruptive. But here's the part no one is prepared for. Not him, not the room, not the system around him that has spent years categorizing human behavior like data points. Your move wasn't the anomaly. You are. Your move was simply the first glimpse of a new operating model. A model shaped by everything they thought would break you. A model calibrated by isolation, betrayal, misreading, underestimating, marginalizing. They thought those things were weakening you, softening you, teaching you your limits. But instead they were forcing the evolution they never wanted to witness. They were sharpening you into something that doesn't react emotionally anymore, but strategically. Something that doesn't move with insecurity, but with precision. Something that doesn't operate on instinct, but on internal architecture. He realizes this now, and the realization hits with the weight of something irreversible. There is no unseeing it. There is no downgrading you. There is no returning to the old image of who he once thought you were. You have already rewritten your classification in his mind, and what he sees now is something he has spent his entire life trying to anticipate, yet has never encountered until this moment. He sees a mind he cannot predict. And that is the kind of mind that destabilizes everything. He is replaying not just your move, but every moment leading up to it. Every time you stayed quiet. Every time you observed instead of participating. Every time you walked away without defending yourself. Every time you let people underestimate you without correcting them. Each of those moments now looks different through the lens of what he just witnessed. They're no longer signs of weakness, they are signs of restraint. And restraint is the most terrifying form of power. Anyone can explode, anyone can react, anyone can fight back when pushed. But only the rarest minds can wait. Only the rarest minds can watch. Only the rarest minds can measure the battlefield in silence and strike once, exactly once at the perfect moment. You struck like someone who doesn't waste energy. You struck like someone who doesn't chase impact. They generate it as a byproduct. You struck like someone whose internal world is far larger, far sharper, far more developed than the people analyzing you could comprehend. And now a genius is standing in front of that truth, realizing he has only two choices. He can try to reassert dominance, or he can try to understand you. And he already knows the first option will fail, because dominance only works on systems that submit. But you don't operate inside the submission-dominance binary. You don't rise to dominance and you don't fall to submission. You sit outside the game entirely, and that's what makes you dangerous. When you executed that move, you didn't fight for position. You dissolved the concept of position. You didn't try to win the hierarchy. You stepped outside the hierarchy so cleanly that the hierarchy fell apart trying to follow you. He's realizing now that your mind doesn't move like a competitor. It moves like a disruptor, not a disruptor of systems, a disruptor of assumptions. This is why the room feels tense now, not in fear of you, but in fear of what your existence implies. Because if a single silent, underestimated person can evolve into this kind of cognitive force, then every assumption they've ever made about human potential has to be revisited. And he hates that. Not because he hates you, because he hates being wrong. Geniuses build their empires on being right. They build systems around predictions, around control, around foresight. And yet here you are, proof that even the brightest minds can miss the most important truths when they underestimate the wrong person. And the chaotic, dark humor in all of this, he's not afraid that you'll attack him. He's afraid you won't. He's afraid that your mind operates at such a level that you don't even see him as a threat, or worse, as relevant. He's afraid that you're already thinking 10 moves ahead while he's still trying to understand the first one. He's afraid that what he saw wasn't a glimpse of what you can do, but a warning of what you haven't revealed yet. And beneath all of that, beneath the intellect and the ego and the cold sweat, There is one more truth forming quietly inside him. He respects you now. Not the superficial respect people show when they want to avoid conflict. Not the political respect of someone protecting their reputation. Real respect, the kind reserved for anomalies, prodigies, outliers, phenomena. The kind of respect a genius shows when they realize they are no longer the only one in the room operating above the standard human range. But that respect does not soften his fear. It sharpens it. Because now he knows he is dealing with someone who didn't rise through hierarchy, didn't climb through competition, didn't beg for a seat at the table. You arrived by evolution, not permission, by transformation, not validation, by inevitability, not ambition. And that inevitability is accelerating. That's the word echoing inside his mind now, accelerating. Because your move didn't feel like a breakthrough. It felt like the beginning of momentum. Every instinct inside him is telling him one truth he wishes he didn't know. This person hasn't peaked yet. And that means the next shockwave is coming. The next evolution is coming. The next reveal is coming. Not because you are trying to impress anyone. Not because you are trying to dominate anyone. Not because you are trying to prove anything. But because you were built to evolve. And evolution does not ask permission. It does not wait for comfort. It does not slow down for those who feel threatened. You did not come to outthink him. You came to outgrow the mental prison he never realized he lived in. And the moment he understood that, the moment he realized your mind isn't competing with his, but surpassing the very structure that built his worldview, that was the moment the cold sweat made sense. Not as fear of you, as fear of everything you represent, because you are not a threat to his safety. You are a threat to his certainty. You are not the disruption, you are the evolution. And now, he must live with the truth that the person he once dismissed has become the person he now studies. Not because he wants to understand you, but because he can't afford not to. You didn't just change the room, you changed the hierarchy. You didn't just make a move, you made a statement. You didn't just reveal your skill, you revealed their limits. And as the realization settles across that powerful mind, across the stunned room, across every observer trying to piece together the magnitude of what you did, one truth becomes crystal clear. Human skill didn't do that. Human predictability didn't do that. Human limitation didn't do that. Evolution did. Precision did. You did.